Welcome to Talkin VAWLS, episode number 39, brought to you via the Outright Geekery Podcast Network at outrightgeekery.com. Also on the S&B Network on YouTube. Be sure to hit that like button, leave us a comment, and subscribe. My name is Boogie Bentley.
Vols JP.
Or Maine.
We're at Talkin VAWLS _pod on Facebook and Twitter. Give us a follow. Also, getting pretty close to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Once we get there, we're giving away a $50 Amazon gift card. So even if you listen on iTunes, Stitcher, or another podcast platform, jump over to YouTube and just search Talkin VAWLS. That's TALKIN VAWLS. And subscribe to the SMB Network, and that will help us out. Guys, before we get started, it's no big secret. Everybody knows now that Trey Smith is out indefinitely. And, you know, these are kids at the end of the day. And, yeah, we do a podcast and we critique and we get mad and we get frustrated. We point fingers. We blame players and coaches. But at the end of the day, Trey Smith is a human being. And he's going through some difficult stuff with blood clots back in his lungs. So I just wanted to say that, get it out of the way. Prayers for the big fella.
Yep, absolutely. It's a tough situation, and sometimes, I mean, this is a point now where this is bigger than football. Obviously, you know, we'd like to have him back, but I don't think that's even the main concern right now. The main concern is just hope he gets better altogether, whether he plays again or not. Like you said, thoughts and prayers with him.
Yeah, certainly. Same thing. I mean, it's just a football game, so his health is certainly the most important thing for him right now. And whether or not that he plays another down of football is insignificant as far as that goes. So thoughts and prayers for him for sure.
South Carolina 27, Tennessee 24. Tough game. I think, man, it was frustrating. It was very, very frustrating loss. Even the announcers, I think it was, talked about, Tennessee lost to Alabama, but it was never really in question. Obviously the debacle with the Florida game and then the Georgia game. But this game, man, this game stung because Tennessee was in it. Tennessee was in control, and Tennessee, I would even go as far to say Tennessee should have won that football game last night.
Go ahead, JP.
Yeah, that's why I was so frustrated last night with it because, I mean, I think we blew a really good opportunity to set ourselves up well for a potential bowl game, beating another SEC team on the road, getting a second SEC win. Um, I thought when we came out in the second half and took the ball down the field and went up 21-9, I thought that was huge, but it was all game long after the South Carolina's second series. I mean, I don't know. We just couldn't stop them. I would have never thought that the defensive line would have been or would have had a worse game than offensive line would have for sure, but certainly did. We didn't do anything with the front seven. I mean, we didn't get no pressure on the quarterback. We didn't do anything, and I mean, just gaping holes for the running backs. It was just a blown opportunity for sure.
It was. I mean, you would have been set up good for a bowl game with that win, and yeah, I absolutely think they should have won that game. They had their opportunity. There was just so many errors, so many mistakes made, just from all the false starts, the personal fouls, the mismanagement of the clock, the going for it, which I thought was a bad move in the situation. Went for it on 4th and 7. The not even taking a chance to go down and get points before the half. I just it was a poor night. I'll say this in a positive way. From week 1 till now, they're a much better football team. I think no doubt about that. But they should have won that game last night. There was really no reason they shouldn't. And I was surprised at how they couldn't stop South Carolina either after really about the second quarter. It's like South Carolina really just did what they wanted. They ran, and then our line, our front seven, was getting no pressure at all on them. The line wasn't getting in there. I looked at the tackles for the linebackers, and I think they totaled right at about 10 tackles between the group, which is not good at all. It was a blown opportunity. It would have been really nice because you got to think Charlotte's a win. It'd been really nice going into the last three, only needing one win opposed to three. Or, I'm sorry, opposed to two.
Yeah, I agree. I would have felt a lot better, obviously, going into those last three, only needing one. It was kind of a backwards game, man, just to put a positive spin on a negative situation or a negative deal. I thought Helton may have called one of his best games on the offensive side, and then to touch on what JP said with the offensive line, never in a million years, especially after the announcement that Trey Smith was out. I mean, I thought the offensive line, and they by any means did not play a perfect game, but I forget what they were averaging on the ground per carry going into this. It was under 3 yards, I think, against SEC opponents, maybe even closer to 2 yards per carry, and they were close to 5 on the day. I think they did a decent job protecting Garantano. I mean, he took some shots, and of course he got sacked there to end the game. But overall, I was impressed with this offensive line that's being just patched together at this point.
I think they did a pretty good job last night, and I don't know how much I put the sack at the end of the game on them because they gave him time.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't take a sack to end the game like that. He's got to learn how to get rid of the ball, but I don't think they ran the ball enough last night. And there's some weeks that I know we've been like, why are they running it so much? Last night was a night they could have ran it more because the three backs who touched it all were at 5 yards or more. And I think Chandler had 12 carries and Jordan 11, if I'm not mistaken. And that's not enough. Chandler's not touching the ball enough, especially last night when he's getting yardage. And I don't even know if I guess he caught a couple screen passes.
Yeah, he caught a couple too where he was out in the slot. I know they did a little bubble screen with him out in the slot.
Yeah, but I just don't. And I agree. I think Helton caught a good game last night. They ran a lot of quick stuff. Thought they had South Carolina off balance a little bit, but then at the end, it was just, I don't know. No sense of urgency on that last drive. None at all. Just fiddling around, taking their time like they had the whole game, like they were actually up 3 opposed to being down 3. And it come back to bite them, taking all that time because when they finally were sacked, there was, a minute left with 3 timeouts. And you had to be perfect at that point in which they gave up the long run that basically ended it.
Yeah, as far as offense it goes, I mean that was my biggest frustration that last drive. I mean, we got the ball back with I think it was 5 minutes and 54 seconds left. I mean, right at 6 minutes, and by the time that we get to midfield, there's already like less than 2 minutes to go, and then when we get sacked down there, there's a minute and 6 seconds or whatever, and still got those three timeouts. So I'm like, Armaine, I just didn't see any kind of urgency there. You would hope that when you get the ball back with almost 6 minutes to go and 3 timeouts, that you're going to be able, if you take it down there and you can't score, that you would think that typically that you'd get another chance, but we didn't even give ourselves another chance because we just dink and dunked it to midfield, and we wasn't doing any hurry up or anything. And I understand, probably some of the coaching thoughts on that was, well, we haven't stopped them at all, so we don't want to go down here and score and then give them time to come back and score. But didn't think the clock management there was very good. But I think one of the biggest plays, I mean, there were several mistakes by Tennessee that you could look back on and say, man, that really cost them. But that third down drop by Callaway, not the last possession, but the but the one before, um, when we decided to go for it on fourth down. He wouldn't have got a first down, but it would have went from, if they had kicked it, it'd have been what, a 52 or 53-yard field goal, and if he'd have caught that, it'd been about a 46 or 47-yard field goal, and Samaglia had already hit one from what, 47 earlier. So
Well, let me ask you too. He's got the leg to kick it from 52. Do you not think they should have tried to kick a field goal there, especially when it was what, 4th and 7?
I don't know. I think I heard Pruitt say something about that they didn't think that going in that direction. I don't know if the wind was blowing in his face in that direction or what, but I think I heard Pruitt say that that they didn't think that that was within his distance.
Yeah.
I heard him say that too. I think you either try the field goal or you punt right there. And I know Pruitt said, well, we weren't stopping them. We were trying to win. But if you pin them deep right there, you might be able to, kind of pin your ears back and go after them or something. I just thought that was, I think Pruitt, there's times he shows guts, but a lot of the times he's done it, it's been in a bad situation. And I thought that was a bad situation. There's no doubt in my mind. And I was saying it when they even went for it, that I'm either kicking the field goal or I'm punting right there. Because a risky situation. I would even, possibly taken a penalty and backed up and punted it right there. I just think it was, I think that killed him. You got to learn when to be aggressive and when to be conservative. And I don't think he knows when to right now. I mean, if I'm going to be aggressive, I'm going to be aggressive with 45 seconds to go in the half and try to go down and get some points instead of riding it out.
Especially
yeah, that's
after
another topic. But.
Well, no, we can go there because we're all three in agreement on this. We've talked about it before, but especially in that situation where South Carolina burned a timeout. So did Tennessee have 3 timeouts in 45 seconds and pretty good field position? What were they, around the 35?
They just had one.
They
just had one
timeout. But still, in college with first downs and getting out of bounds, stopping the clock, that's a ton of time with a timeout. And options, you got options. If you can't hit something on the sideline, or if you have to go over the middle, you've got that timeout if you need it. But I don't understand that. I don't. Sometimes I agree with it, but not with this team. They proved that they should have been trying to get some points on the board there.
I mean, I just wonder too, because Chandler caught a fair catch at like the 8-yard line, where he's normally going to bring that out. I wonder if he's, told to do that. We're going to try to run it out.
Yeah. I
mean, it was pretty obvious that if South Carolina got some stops, they were going to try to go down and get some points. And I don't know why especially after Tennessee got a first down, because they were out close to the 40-yard line. I mean, you get another 25 yards and you're in range.
Well, just look at the opposite mindset for South Carolina. Tennessee had the ball, and South Carolina wanted to call timeouts to try to stop them and get the ball back and score.
Yeah,
that right there tells you there was plenty of time, because they were going to burn 3 timeouts, so they were going to be looking at no timeouts and trying to get the ball back and score.
I mean, like you said, with the clock stopping at first down, you can get out of bounds. That's plenty of time. I mean, if you would have went down and gotten 3 points right there, that could have been huge at the end of the game. Instead of being down 3, you're tied and you're driving to win the game.
Right.
And, worst case, you could have punted and went to overtime at the end. But just really poor management all night. I thought Pruitt coached a poor game last night. I think he did a really poor job. The time management. It looks to me like they don't even practice the 2-minute offense, because they never at the end of a half try to go down and get points. And then at the end of the game, it just looked terrible.
Well, we even said that against, I forget, it might have been ETSU or somebody, and they took a knee, and we brought it up back then. Why not? Why not practice it? Why not get live game reps of a 2-minute drill? But like you
It's
said,
obvious they're not practicing it or
we've
something.
not seen it. Yeah, we've not seen it. Cheers to the
Honestly,
cheers to the working man.
I just think that they just don't have enough confidence in the offensive line to try to do something like that. I think that they feel like that they're better suited just playing it conservative right there, and especially last night taking in a 14-9 lead at halftime. I just feel like that his mindset was probably we only got one timeout, 45 seconds. Chances of us doing something good is not as great as something happening back. But I mean, that's one thing. Other than the uh, Garantano getting blowed up and fumbling, I mean, he's thrown two interceptions this year. So I mean,
Yeah.
relatively, he's been pretty good with the ball. I felt like that Garantano was off last night. I know that he completed a lot of passes, but a lot of them was those short, flares out wide and stuff. But I mean, there were several out there that he just sailed right over top of their heads, and
You think he's got
obviously
happy feet from all the hits he's taken? Because
well,
he definitely had some accuracy issues last night. There's no doubt
and
about it.
He
that's
missed
probably
Palmer
some of
3 or
it.
4 times.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah, and I mean, those ribs are probably hurting a lot worse than anybody thinks too. So I mean, all of that could be affecting his motion and everything. But I mean, I was aggravated last night, and that last drive really had me aggravated. But I mean, with the way that offensive line is a patchwork group, and just really small and just not talented for what that they need to be. I mean, I don't think that really we can really blame anything as far as the offense goes. I just wish that I don't know, those penalty on Callaway hurt. I mean, it put us down, third down 27 instead of third down 12. I mean, I don't
Penalty on
know if we
Jennings
would
was
have.
a killer. That's a
Yeah.
killer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know,
Yeah, and
but
I think all the false starts were just
yeah.
bad. I mean, I don't know what's going on. Is the center not snapping it when he's not? Because there was 2 or 3 times on those false starts. You could have named whatever number you wanted to on the line. They were all going, and the center hadn't snapped it.
Certainly appeared that that's what it was for whatever reason. Johnson wasn't snapping it when the rest of the team thought that he was supposed to. So because I mean there were several guys moving, so it wasn't just one guy having a lack of focus there. So makes you think that there was some kind of issue going on with him not being able to hear Garantano's clap or whatever uh, that he's
Well, I
supposed
know
to get
Pruitt.
to snap the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I know Pruitt made the comment. When you clap, it's time to snap. Something he didn't say it exactly, but something along those lines. So something was off right there because there was way too many false starts, and each time, I don't know that it was really one guy. It was numerous guys that was doing it. So, I mean, if they're going on a silent count, which maybe they did some, then I mean, the center's kind of the leader in that regard. You've got to let them know or something. It just something was off. I mean, like you said, maybe he couldn't hear the claps, but why's the rest of them hearing it and he's not? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either. But I mean, last night it just goes back to what we've been talking about. I mean, this team is just not talented enough to have um, self-imposed mistakes, and with the penalties and dropping passes. I mean, this team just cannot afford to overcome that. I mean, they don't have to play a perfect game, but I mean, when you have 9 penalties for how many ever yards they had, and I mean, and they all came at crucial times too.
Yeah, that's
I
the
mean,
big key to me, especially with the false
that's the key
starts.
to it.
How many
Yeah,
false starts did they have on 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, and you go
yeah,
from 3rd and manageable to 3rd and long? just tough, man.
Yeah.
It's tough. And
I know
the
it is,
15
but
yarders too, and then
you know,
even the pass interference there. I don't know. It was late. I think it was Buchanan, man, that when they dropped the
oh,
ball
that
in
was
the
a
end zone.
bull crap call, though.
Yeah,
I mean, that
but
was bull crap.
the
That was a
timing of
horrible
it, man,
call.
it killed him. It
Oh,
killed
I
him.
know. Yeah, yeah, I know. I mean, because that's the drive that they ended up kicking the game-winning field goal on.
Yeah.
I mean, that was
Yep.
it. So,
Yeah, and there was just, I mean, we hadn't even discussed the fumble down at the
yeah,
goal line.
Let's talk
yeah,
about that.
That
no,
I
was,
watched it. And maybe because you all seem so confident, and even the I couldn't find the ball. I could not find 100% without a doubt. I couldn't find the ball. I know Batuli came up with it, but could you see the ball come out and him recover it?
I just don't think South Carolina back was down, and I know for sure Petuli ended up with it. I don't see how he could have been down because he was on top of her, and he was juggling it from the get go because it was kind of an awkward handoff there. I just don't. I don't, if they would have reviewed it and there's not conclusive evidence, that's one thing. But for it to not even be reviewed, and I don't know why Pruitt didn't challenge that unless he was told something that we don't know. I wish the reporters would have asked him that last night instead of all the little pansy questions they asked him after the game, because we never found out anything about why that was not challenged. We didn't find anything about why you're riding the clock out in the first half. I would have liked to have known those things. Maybe he talked about them on the Pruitt show today. I don't ever get
No.
a chance to watch it. I'm not home during that time.
Because I watched it specifically. I'll record it, but I watched it because I wanted to know. I wanted to know why he took a knee at the half, and I wanted to know why they didn't attempt a field goal, and it was never even mentioned on there. But there's not a whole lot of communication between Pruitt and Bob Kessling. It's a very interesting show if you haven't watched it. Pruitt doesn't seem like a very happy person most of the time.
no, he definitely was not happy whenever they recorded that. I don't know if it was last night or early this morning, but yeah, I mean, he wasn't happy for sure.
And Bob Kessling, he acts clueless. He's like, kind of a tough game, wasn't it, Coach? You came out hot, and then you kind of lost it. And he's like, yeah, Bob, we did. Thanks for pointing that out.
I don't know why he didn't challenge unless he's told something that he can. I know a couple of the player, no Tuttle and Kirkland. Kirkland said he knocked the ball out, and then Batuli ended up with it. I mean, that would have been Tennessee's ball to 1 yard line. That would have negated a touchdown right there. Who knows what Tennessee would have done with it down there? We know how their woes have been at the goal line. But still, yeah, worst case, you maybe get a safety and then have to kick it off right there. But I don't see why he didn't at least challenge that. I don't know what he was told, but yeah, that's got to be looked at. It's got to be looked at.
Yeah, and I'm same way. I don't understand why that he didn't call a timeout there and you know request for that to be challenged. I mean, but then of course uh, the refs had sat there and waited 3 minutes prior to that play to challenge to see whether the guy even crossed the goal line or not on that first run. But the SEC decided that they didn't need to challenge or look at the possible fumble. So, but regardless, I mean, that's the thing about Pruitt. Why didn't he challenge it? Why didn't he call a timeout and say, I want to challenge this? But whether or not that they would have found anything conclusive, I watched it several times and I felt like that I could see the football out as soon as he got hit right there. But whether or not that they would have overturned it if they'd have looked at it anyway, who knows? Who knows about the SEC refs?
Yeah, they're ridiculous, and yeah, I think Tennessee made enough mistakes in the game where you can say, well, that didn't really cost them the game, but that's a big swing
That's
right
huge,
there.
yeah.
And that
That's
pass
huge.
interference, they called on Buchanan. I mean, that's a 10-point swing with those. Now, would South Carolina possibly got back down there? Maybe. But again, it has to be reviewed from somewhere. Some of the calls they review, and they can't take the time to review that one. And again, I don't know why Pruitt didn't challenge it. I would have made them look at that
Yep.
somehow, some way.
Where are you guys at on Pruitt as of now? I mean, some of these this things we're questioning. I mean, he is a first-time head coach. I'm not saying that's an excuse, but I mean, heck, we're also talking about a guy who they lined up how many times incorrectly on a punt in the same game, and he, I mean, he's standing right there. But where are you guys at on him as a head coach?
As far as a Tennessee fan should go, you better hope that he's the right guy, because if not, you're just setting yourself back up. I mean, we've talked about it on here. I mean, it's all about the recruiting, fellas. It's all about the recruiting. I mean, I think that we've seen improvement with this team. I mean, I think that you would be kind of not paying attention if you didn't think that this team was improving. I mean, look at what the wide receivers have done this year. I mean, look at Garantano. Look at some of the defense. I mean, I know last night that they got you know slashed up and spit out, but we have been playing better there. I think that we've got some real talent as far as the cornerbacks go with Taylor and Thompson. I think we got something to build on there. We're just slow. We're slow, and we don't have any speed, and we don't have any strength. So I think that Pruitt's probably getting about as much out of them as he possibly can.
I think he looks like a first year coach. I think he's had a lot of bad moments this year, and last night I thought he coached a poor game. That's not the Alabama game. It is what it is. You knew you were going to get hammered. I mean, we figured they were going to get hammered by him. I mean, I thought they did some decent things that game, but he's had some bad games. Florida game was bad, and I just think all this stuff is. I think it's bad coaching. I bought in after the Auburn game, but man, anybody that is for sure that he's the guy right now, they don't want. We don't need a change, obviously, but I think you're being a homer if you're just dead set that you've seen enough out of him to know he's the guy that's going to turn it around, because I'm still not. I hope he is, and I think once he gets, like you said, with recruiting better players in, you'll see a difference there, because there's not much speed or strength, and patchwork offensive line of guys that are almost too small to play it. I mean, they are big enough, but they're not your average SEC size line. But I think the jury's still out on him as far as this year. And you know he's going to have some growing pains along the way, but there's just things that I don't think he is getting better at. Like, I think he's coaching not to lose too much, and all that ever does is get you beat. I understand. I appreciate the times that he shows guts and goes for it, but there's a time where you've got to be smart, and I think the jury's out. Last night really downed me on him. Now I think there's people already wanting him gone. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's
right
stupidity.
Now.
Stupidity.
I mean, you got to give the guy time. 3 or 4 years down the road, if he's still doing the same thing, then you can talk about that. But he's got a lot to learn. He's got a lot to learn. He's definitely showing he is a first year coach.
So 4 games left: Charlotte, Kentucky, Missouri, and at Vanderbilt. Where are you guys at as far as bowl eligibility? Obviously, like JP mentioned earlier, that game last night was so important. Of course, you got the Auburn game that you didn't expect to get, but just that South Carolina game would have set them up so good. Obviously, Charlotte this coming Saturday. They better take care of business and take care of business early is all I can say about that game. Kentucky, man, golly, I, I, I don't know. You think they can win 2 or 3 out of Kentucky, Missouri, and Vanderbilt?
The way that South Carolina ran on them last night concerns me against Kentucky and Vanderbilt. It really does. I don't know that Missouri can run like either one of those teams, but Missouri can throw. And if our line is giving Drew Lock time to sit back there and pick them apart, it's going to be a long day. They've got their work cut out for them because Kentucky's got a good defense, and Snell's the best running back in the conference. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And if South Carolina's back's getting 140 yards, how many Snell going to get? And then the Vaughn kid for Vanderbilt's looking pretty tough too. They're going to have to pick it up with their front seven if they're going to have any chance against. I think they'll have a chance to win out. They could theoretically end up still at what would it be 8-4 or
7-5.
7-5. That's right.
Yeah, we're
They're
3-5 now.
3-5. They could end up 7-5, but they're going to have to. Their front seven's going to have to pick it up, and the mental mistakes, and they've got to cut down on those. It's not going to be easy. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I agree. Surely we can beat Charlotte next week, and then we got Kentucky coming in the week after. Who knows what Kentucky is going to be like? Of course, they got Georgia this coming up week, so we'll probably learn a lot more about Kentucky. I think they got pretty fortunate last night against Missouri. They hadn't done nothing the entire game. Then they get a punt return, and then they score on the last play of the game to win 15-14. But they've been struggling offensively, even though Snell is a good running back. But yeah, I know what you mean when we sit there and saw South Carolina, their running backs do what they did to us last night, and then you're sitting there thinking, well, we got to face Snell at Kentucky, and then Vanderbilt's running game, and I know that the coaching staff is new, but the last couple of years, we've made O'Shermer, the quarterback for Vanderbilt, look like a Heisman Trophy winner.
Mm-hmm.
So he's had our number too, but it's going to be tough. Honestly, I think our best 2 chances to win probably right now is probably Kentucky and Vanderbilt.
Even more so in Missouri?
I think so. I'm just concerned that Missouri's defense is pretty stout, and with our lack of pass rush and our lack of speed on defense, I'm just not for sure that they're not just going to just throw it all over the field on us.
Yeah, if they can't get pressure on Locke, he'll have a big day on him. And like I said, Shermer, he's looked like a Heisman Trophy candidate each year. I don't know. I'll be interested to see Kentucky this week. If Georgia goes in and manhandles them, which I think is possible. But I don't know. Kentucky's got a pretty solid team, though. I'll give them credit on it. And
yeah.
I think the game's at Kentucky, so this is probably one of the biggest games in Kentucky's history this week. And then,
probably is, yeah.
And so, what happens after that game? If Georgia beats them, how are they coming in? Or if they win, how are they coming in? It could be 2 totally different mindsets right there. But last night could be just at the end of the season. We may look back at that game. Why is it always the South Carolina game? My goodness, how many years have we looked back on that game?
And why in the world can we not beat Muschamp? Oh my gosh, I cannot stand that guy.
Well, I'm sitting here thinking, listening to you guys talk about the remainder of the season. and Kentucky and Vanderbilt. Do we all agree Tennessee should have beat South Carolina? I mean, they were in position to win that game. Period. South Carolina
They
blew.
absolutely should have won that game.
Well, South Carolina blew
we were up.
Vanderbilt out. South Carolina beat Missouri. So if Tennessee shows up and they take care of business and they do what they're supposed to do, they should. It's like Rock said, they should be able to win out. I mean, well, minus Kentucky, that's obviously a bigger challenge. But Tennessee should be able to freaking play with Vanderbilt and Missouri. And I know it's hard to sit here and be confident. And golly, we all three sound so freaking depressed tonight. It's painful getting through this podcast. But when you look at the facts, my Lord, it's freaking Vanderbilt, Missouri, man. Just line up and play and take care of business. It's almost sad.
Well,
That's
it
where
is,
we're at,
but that's.
though. I mean, it is.
But
That's
I mean,
where
you
we're
know,
at,
that's.
though.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
I mean,
I
that's
know.
where we're at.
I know.
Thanks to the intern, you know. That's
I
not
mean,
all his
I'm
fault.
kind of like JP. When somebody that's a coach that wears orange at Tennessee going to outcoach Will freaking Muschamp? I mean, come on. That's 7 times that bum has outcoached somebody in Knoxville. When's it going to stop? I mean, do we just come in and I'm sorry, guys, it's like each coach shits the bed every time that they see Will Muschamp coming to town or that we're going to face Will Muschamp. It's like we're facing, my goodness, John Madden or something. I mean, I don't get it. I just do not get it. I don't think he's much of a coach. Yet he finds a way to beat Tennessee every single time.
I'm going to say this anyway. I'm going to play devil's advocate because to me, I think Tennessee lost the game. I don't think. I think it's part coaches, it's part players. I was talking about it today. It's almost comical. I said as a teacher, I was talking to my wife, and this applies to you too, Rock. As a teacher, and part of this is true. What if every time one of your students failed, people came to you and it was all your fault every time? Every time a student failed, it was your fault. You didn't do your job. At what point? Because there's no doubt about it, Pruitt made some bonehead decisions last night. He did, or decisions that we disagreed with. The false starts, the drop balls, the 2 deep balls. Even though the pass interference, call it a bad call it what you will, Buchanan was beat on that play. The deep ball earlier, right before they went in to score and they went for 2. I think it was it the same series as the fumble? I don't remember. Todd Kelly totally blew his coverage. At what point? What is Pruitt's fault versus player execution? I'm just curious. I don't think Muschamp did anything to win that game yesterday. I think if you're going to say anybody got out coached, Pruitt just shot himself in the foot. But did he? I don't know where I'm going with that as much as how define being out coached.
I think just decisions in the game. I mean, just time management, just playing not to lose. I think that's just, and that's my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong on this.
And I don't care if you're right or wrong. I'm just curious of. It's like I saw a guy today at church going on and on and on about the false starts. Of course, this is another story for another time. He's freaking blaming Fulmer for everything. But a false start, is that Pruitt's fault? A drop ball.
No,
Palmer.
you've got to put blame on players. I'm not saying it was all Pruitt's fault. It wasn't, but
And I'm not saying it's all
you've
players'
gotta be
fault.
on.
I'm just bringing up the conversation.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I know where you're going. And I just think time management, I think not trying for points before the half, going for it on 4th and 7 was important. Not challenging that fumble, and maybe there's a reason he didn't. I just thought I didn't think he had a good night last night. I thought he got out coached last night. And I say that just because, and I don't think they made any adjustments on defense at any point. I don't. Maybe South Carolina just had their number, but I just don't think it was a banner night for Pruitt last night. I really didn't think it was. I thought that was one of his worst coach games last night, and some of it goes back to like you mentioned earlier, ETSU. I mean, that 2-minute offense, especially against the ETSU team, that's a time to practice it. And maybe there's not that confidence in the line and stuff, but especially when you get a first down right there, that's time to go for it there. And I don't know. I don't know what else to add to it. Honestly, I just don't think it. I don't think he coached a good game last night. And all the false starts, the penalty, the personal fouls, you can't blame him on that. But they're getting too many of these personal fouls. Also, he's going to have to calm them down, crack down, or something right there because it's happening every week.
JP, you awake?
Yeah, I'm listening. I don't know. I mean, I'm just frustrated because situation we're in, we don't have players. I mean, I just want better. I just want better players.
See,
I
okay,
just want
okay.
players out there
That kind of feeds into
that
more
are.
of what I'm saying, and this is just feeding into me playing devil's advocate even more because that's what I feel like
I
doing.
mean,
But if he doesn't
I
have the
mean,
players,
our problem is our defensive linemen and our linebackers cannot shed a block at all. I mean, I mean, once a guy gets their hands on them, it's over with. I mean, we cannot shed. We, I don't know. We just can't do it. And then there's so many times that there's a big run that's happened, and right there at the line of scrimmage, we've got a linebacker that's diving at his feet, misses the tackle, and then next thing you know, he rips off a 15 or 20-yard run. I mean, we see it every game. I mean, it happens every single game.
so if he had the players, these decisions really it wouldn't even be a conversation. You wouldn't care that he took a knee before halftime with 40 seconds. If he had the players, it wouldn't matter, it'd be irrelevant. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it just depends. I mean, if we had the players and we still got beat by three, it might be a conversation.
If you're talking about playing at Alabama instead of playing at South Carolina.
Well, I would hope, yeah. I mean, I'd hope. I mean, because if we got really good players, we shouldn't be struggling with South Carolina,
It's
but
just
we are.
always
I
an
mean, this program
interesting
is what it is. I mean,
it's an interesting
this program
conversation.
is like 13th or 14th in the SEC as far as overall right now. I mean, it is. I mean, us and Arkansas are cellar dwellers.
Where would you put Tennessee's offensive line in the SEC?
Oh, it's by far the worst.
So it's kind
I
of
mean,
tough
is there?
to sit here and judge Pruitt as a coach when he's coaching what you just said was the worst offensive line in the SEC.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, anybody that's going to sit here and say he needs to be fired or, he's not going to get it done. I mean, they're just blowing smoke and frustration is all that is. I mean, anybody can sit here now and say, well, so and so's not going to make it. With this as many coaches that get fired, your chances are pretty good that 3 years from now you can say, I told you boys 3 years ago he wasn't going to do it. That's baloney, whatever. You know.
This is a very
But
depressing.
I guess
Depressing.
I would play. I mean, and I get that and stuff, but at the same time, you're not.
Here's the
I
thing about
mean, I
Pruitt.
don't know what else to say about it. I mean, last night I remember the text at the end from somebody that said out coached again. Now, I get it with the players, and I think he's doing a good job. They're progressing, they're getting better, but some of his in-game calls are still questionable.
Well, yeah,
He's
and
doing
just
first-year
like
coach stuff, and Would it make a difference? More talent, maybe so. But you're at a point this year. You're trying to get to a bowl game, and you can't have multiple. You've got to be. There's a. One of my things is the times he gets aggressive, and then at times he gets really conservative, and it just kind of blows my mind how you go from one extreme to the next on it.
Well,
Sometimes.
reason reason I felt like that I was frustrated last night and got out coached is that last 6 minutes of that football game. I mean, I just keep on going back to it. I mean, we had 3 timeouts and we waste all that time and barely get to mid or past midfield. And we waste all that time to the point that we don't even give ourselves to even utilize those 3 timeouts.
Was
Because I
that when
mean,
Callaway?
even if we'd have stopped them,
Was that the drop you were talking about, Callaway on third and whatever?
No,
That's,
no,
that
that was the drive
before
before.
the 4th and 7.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was the drive before. But I'm just talking about the last 6 minutes of the game after South Carolina kicked that field goal and went up 27-24. I mean, I just can't believe that with having those three timeouts that we couldn't get two drives out of that. I mean,
But do you think he was trying to get 2 drives, or do you think he was trying to
I
kill
think he was
every
trying to go down
second?
there and score and
Kill
not
every
give them
second.
any time
Yeah.
at all. But
Yeah. So
I just
But
think
it
the
did- it
lack
did-
of urgency. There was no urgency on that. I mean, I can understand if you get inside the 40 and then you're kind of taking
Yeah.
it easy.
slowing
but,
it down, yeah.
I
they were.
I see what you're
I
saying.
mean, they went away. They totally went away from what they'd done the whole game on that last drive. And
I guess it's like what you said earlier. They were what, midfield maybe, and at that point they were down to a minute and something, where they were going to have to pick up the pace just to try to score.
Yeah.
But
I mean, to me, we just wasted too much time trying to get to midfield. And
but
I mean,
again, devil's advocate, they go down and score a touchdown, and there's 5 seconds left on the clock. You're praising him for clock management.
yeah,
Would you not?
yeah, I guess.
It's kind of like
I
what you
guess
I
said.
mean,
It's,
I don't know.
it's-
I thought it was, taking out the 4th down when Garantano held on to it too long, got sacked. I thought it was poor management up to that point. Even if they would have went down and scored, I don't think I would have praised it. I mean, I know I get what he's trying to do, and I get he was trying to leave as little time as possible on there. But at some point, you've got to show a little bit of urgency in that drive. And at no point did they ever show any urgency on that drive. They were just going through the motions on it. And I just don't think time management is a strong thing with them. I don't know how much they're working on it or anything. And I've said that numerous times on here. But I mean, it's pretty evident to me that they're not putting a lot of emphasis on it, because it just I just thought they went away from everything, and they were killing too much time on that. And then again, Garantano's he's got to know how to get rid of the ball. You can't take a freaking sack to end the game. You can't do that. I just think it was. They've got to get better with time management. For you to kill basically 5 minutes and not even be at be right at midfield in just 5 minutes, that's too much time. Too much time wasted right there, and then you're going to have to try to get in a hurry to get in field goal range.
What do we do about fixing the defense?
You got to recruit.
my frustration
Y'all
is they
think
don't know
that,
how to tackle. But Tennessee hadn't known how to tackle through the last 5 head
In
coaches.
years. No, they haven't. It's gone back for years.
I'm anxious to see if J.J. Peterson gets any run Saturday, like meaningful snaps on
Yeah,
defense.
because he
I
can
know
play,
played,
what, 4 games and still redshirt? So he can play the rest of the season
Well, he
and
played in
still
the Alabama game.
Did he?
Yeah. He played on kickoff team.
I
I
mean,
saw
I
him
think
on
that's a
kick-
wasted opportunity that they just played him that little bit in that game. I don't know why they didn't save him playing a lot this week against Charlotte and see what he can do.
Yeah, what's the
Yeah.
benefit of putting him in
And
the
you still
Alabama
may
game?
do that. I mean, you still may do that, play him a lot this week. But if you're wanting to keep that red shirt on him, you're going to have to not play him one of the other 3 games.
Yeah. One of the
And
other.
was it really worth it to run him out there on a couple kickoffs to waste the game? I don't think it was. And, what if he comes out and proves already he's one of your best linebackers? Maybe he won't. Maybe he's not ready. But if you see he can be an asset the last 3 games, well, you're going to have to burn that red shirt over a couple kickoffs.
I'm
I don't-
hijacking the
I
conversation here for just because it's going to make me laugh during this depressing podcast. But it's freaking hilarious that Banks moves to linebacker and shows up at the next game with a freaking neck roll. Looks like Latimer in the program. What the heck, man? And what?
He's another one that may get some play this week. At linebacker.
I'd like to see it.
I say put him in there.
Yeah, why not, man? Why not get him some playing time? Oh,
I wouldn't be surprised if you see him and Peterson in a lot together this week.
That's what I'm hoping for.
That'd be
Yeah.
interesting, man. That'd be interesting.
I'm hoping for sure. I mean, I say, I mean, at this point in time, I mean, our linebacker play's been abysmal. I mean, it's just been poor old Kirkland. I mean, he doesn't even look like the same player. I mean, I just wonder if he'll even play next year. I mean, he's a redshirt junior. I just wonder if he'll just decide to give it up. Because, I mean, he is slow. And, I mean, he wasn't like that his freshman year. He wasn't like that. So it's these knees that have got him.
I feel his pain.
No, it seems like ever since he got hurt at the Bristol game that he's not been the same ever since.
Yeah.
I think Banks is an interesting option at linebacker, and I think he'll flat out hit some guys, but I think he'll probably average about 1 to 2 personal fouls per game, and he'll have a few. He may set a record for targeting calls before it's said and done.
Probably so, yeah.
But I think I'll be interested to see him at linebacker. I don't think he'll be afraid to hit anybody.
And his speed, I mean, his speed has to be an asset at the position.
Yeah, he's got more speed than any of the rest of them at linebacker, I think.
How in the world did we get that slow? I mean, it's painful to watch. I mean, those guys are just slow.
Kirkland.
I don't know.
Man,
I mean, some of these guys were supposed to be pretty quick guys, but they're
I mean,
not.
If you look at Sapp, and I mean, you would think that he's got some speed, but
dang, did you eat your
he
microphone?
doesn't have speed either.
I'm still here.
Sorry, I don't know who's
It fell.
Oh,
It was mine. It fell.
not to put you on the spot, but what's how's recruiting? Because you guys know I don't follow it at all, but how are they looking right now heading into the end of the season? Because the expectations are going to rise. There's no more a bowl game is the goal. A bowl game is demanded next year. It's time to get better.
I think they're 10th overall right now as far as ranking goes on Rivals. I'm not sure about 24/7 what they are, but on Rivals they're 10th. We're certainly recruiting some bigger fellows for the offensive line. Got a few defensive line recruits, some cornerbacks, defensive back safeties, those type of things. The one glaring need, and I don't know where Tennessee turns to in this recruiting class, is an edge rusher. They don't have anybody signed right now that's really a edge rusher. All the guys that they've been after seems like that they're long shots with them. So that's going to be one thing here, over the next 3 months or until signing day, is there any way that number one, can Tennessee hold on to who they have? Can they pick up a few more recruits, namely Darnell Wright, the offensive lineman from West Virginia, number 4 or 5 ranked overall player? Can we close with him, and then to me, can we find some quality linebackers and definitely somebody that can pressure the quarterback?
I'm not even sure who they're. I know they were after Bogle pretty hard. Looks like he's probably Miami bound.
Yeah,
I know they're after the linebacker out of California. What
yeah,
is it? 020
to 2-0 or something like
something?
that.
Yeah. I don't
I,
know that they're after many more on it right now. Uh, they've kind of slowed down. I mean, they've had visitors for sure. I think they're still going after Norton, who's out of Memphis, a Georgia commitment. I don't know if they're making any ground on that. I think they're still trying to get in on Zion Logue.
Logue, yeah.
But yeah, I know they've got some pretty good defensive line commitments, some good size right there. I know they've got one edge guy, Roman Harrison. I've seen a lot of them 24/7 think he's really underrated and that he'll be a good player for them. But I don't know of many more. And you'll see more names pop up between now and signing day. But I think help's definitely on the way on the offensive line and on defense. And I think a lot of guys they should be licking their chops to come in and play next year. Definitely,
Oh,
if I'm an offensive lineman and I'm 300 plus pounds, like all these guys are, I'd be licking my chops to come in and play next year.
I think especially on the offensive line, defensive line, and the linebackers. And you can even say the secondary. I mean, you know, I mean, we're going to have some safety play. Hopefully that Flowers, once he gets back healthy, that he'll continue to improve and be a strong player for us next year. But as we know, you always need more than one quality player at each safety. Because look at us now. We're all sitting here, wishing and hoping that Abernathy was able to play right now. Who would have ever thought that?
Yeah, I think some of these safeties will have a chance to at least get into two deep next year. I think some of the corners that's committed will have a chance to come in and see some significant time too. I really think Taylor and Thompson. Buchanan's gotten better too.
He has
throughout the year.
Yeah.
He really has.
Yeah.
I don't know. Last night was one of his better nights, but he's played some pretty good games. I think help's on the way, and I really think that a lot of these guys coming in are really going to have a shot to make a difference next year. And he said as much on there as well, and you've said it. They need more speed, and I definitely think your JUCO defensive lineman, Middleton and Williams, will have a chance to come in being the two deep immediately also. I think the lines will look a whole – you're losing your starting line next year, and those guys have done – last night was not one of their better games. They've had some better games lately. But identifying them edge guys, I really think that's not being mentioned as a big need right now because I just don't think they have it on the edge.
Oh yeah. We don't. Other than that Georgia game when Darryl Taylor got to the quarterback, three times there. It's just been non-existent. I think that we sacked Bentley once last night there in the first quarter. When the defense was actually playing halfway decent, and then from that point on, and he just had all day typically to stand back there and throw it. That's why I think that Missouri game could be, that could get bad.
If they can't get any pressure, it will.
Well, let's wrap this thing up. Let's go ahead and we'll give scores for the Charlotte game. I'm not going into any detail. I'm just going to pick a score and wrap this podcast up. I'm going to say 52-10, Tennessee over Charlotte on Saturday. Ruck, what do you got?
I'll say 45 to 13.
JP?
38-17.
Oh, my God.
I don't know anything about Charlotte.
I
know they beat somebody.
Appy State
They beat somebody that they wasn't supposed to, I think, last night, 20-17. So,
I just have that concern that last night will be
it could be a hangover.
We'll see effects. It could be a hangover. I mean, it's another one of those games like UTEP where they just come out and go through the motions. Hopefully some guys will have a chip on their shoulder next week, and hopefully we can get some of the twos in there and get them some time. But I just wonder what the mindset is right now.
I hope that chip on their shoulder carries over into the remainder of the schedule and not just this coming Saturday. I hope they have it on the 10th, the 17th, and the 24th too. Man, you would think this.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think they're going to come to play. I do. I think they've shown all year. I think this team has shown heart, and sometimes that's a generic, pathetic thing to say, but I think they have. I think that they'll come to win. So whether or not they take care of business, I guess we'll wait and see. But that's going to wrap it up for this depressing episode number 39 of Talkin Vols. Again, if you're listening to this on YouTube, or even if you're not, jump over and search S&B Network. It's S&B Network, and subscribe. For Vols, JP, and our main, I'm Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.
Jack Kerouac, he drank himself to death in New England, and I'd like to take his hand and say, Jack, man, it's okay. Now he's gone, and we're left to move on without him. Songs howl like beat poets at an arcade, soaking moonlit falls on broken past this inundated orb that we call home.